me show you what's going on across the board today. We've got some showers, some thunderstorms that are now rocking right across the plain states. Those are going to be heavy to severe later on this afternoon as well. What's left from yesterday's storm is slamming parts of Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri. That's going to start happening later on. That's a live look at Kansas City right there from the World War II Monument Memorial. Beautiful right there. It's cold for sure. Temperature's going to be climbing up into the 70s later on. You're talking about severe weather stretching out there from Detroit to Dallas by tomorrow afternoon. So let's get right to it. Show you what's happening right now. This little batch of thunderstorm action was on the severe side. You can see it right now near Manhattan, Kansas, right through Topeka. I just show you the live shot of Kansas City. Guys, it's dry for the time being, but as the rain begins to move in, it's going to get rain cooled. You're going to see a heavy downpour action for the first part of your morning commute. That's right, the I-70 corridor. So far, so good, though. No severe thunderstorms out of this one right now. It just expired about a minute and a half ago, but that thing did have 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. That's why it was warned. But again, we're watching that moving to the east at about 50 miles per hour. Pull that picture out just a bit more, and you can see what's going on across the region. We got some storms. It's kicking out there. We've got one warm frontal boundary basically draped like this, and you can see one batch initially out of eastern Missouri. Another one slid right down south of St. Louis, getting into lower parts of Illinois. Another batch rolling into regions out of Wichita into Kansas City. Again, not severe, which is good, but a lot of lightning firing up out of this one. Up to the north we go, and here's what's going on. We've got a trough of low pressure pretty much spinning out right there. That's going to connect up with some southern stream energy. In other words, we're going to start seeing things phase, and it's going to get active very soon here, especially by the latter part of the day with that snow rocketing down out of Montana into Wyoming. So here's where he looks on that water vapor imagery. Two streams. We've got the subtropical jet stream like this, the polar jet stream like this. They're about to phase right in this neck of the woods, and that means we're going to start seeing a pickup in the energy as everything comes out of the Intermountain West into the northern plain states. Severe weather threat today. It's actually been ramped up. Now it's a level 3 out of 5 on the bad scale, but that includes pretty big city. You're talking about Omaha and stretch it right back through Lincoln, Nebraska. So Lincoln, capital of Nebraska, you guys are going to get slammed one more time today. Timing on this looks like it's going to be a little bit later on in the afternoon, but the storms are now firing just down to your south. Here goes that warm front. It lifts up to the north pretty quickly, right towards Cedar Rapids. Look at Omaha, your temperature today, 83 degrees. Now that's before the cold front whips by. And that means you're going to see the showers and thunderstorms develop in that afternoon heating when that cold front drops in. Main threat today looks like it's going to be large damaging hail. Some of these hailstones could be as much as 2 to 3 inches in diameter. So that's going to be major league for you. Omaha, stretch it back through Lincoln and over towards Des Moines. Timing on this late afternoon through the evening hours and into tonight. So we're going to roll this forward. You can see what it looks like latter part of your commute this morning. Rain rolling right towards St. Louis for another shot. Gets out of Chicago too. A little bit of a dry phase, a little bit of a low on the activity until 7 o'clock or so. Low-level jet stream kicks in. Look at the thunderstorms developing in western Iowa. It gets into, looks like Minnesota and Wisconsin, too. And then we're going to reload it, and we're going to do it again for you tomorrow. So here's what it looks like for tomorrow. Big dip in the jet stream coming in from the north. That's going to allow that area of low pressure by Texas to begin to deepen a bit. 62-degree dew points. You're looking at that around Little Rock. Anything above 55, man, and you've got game time for supercell activity. That's going to go up towards Paducah as well, 63. That's your dew point. Chicago, it's going to be humid, 60-degree dew points with that cold front coming in. So for tomorrow afternoon, this is your Good Friday. Now, if you're commuting trying to get back home for Easter Sunday, it's going to be a little rough. You're looking at Detroit, Chicago, down through St. Louis, those major airports. Watch for disruptions in air travel by tomorrow afternoon. But the daytime heating, that will commence right off in the day tomorrow morning. So Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and you see goes all the way through the mid-Mississippi Valley. Cold front comes in. Thunderstorms will be possible. Now, it's a thinner stripe, but you can see it includes major cities. This has not changed much over the last couple of days either. The forecast, Chicago, Detroit, St. Louis, Springfield, Joplin, Kansas City, all the way through Oklahoma City. You guys have the shot of seeing some showers and thunderstorms. Hailmakers, again, will be the big threat by tomorrow afternoon. All right, by the weekend, storm system's going to shift over to the east a little bit farther, and that means we're going to start seeing the thunderstorms develop with more heavy rounds of rain and possibly flooding into the weekend. So that's going to be a big problem over the next few days. Also, it just doesn't stop on Friday afternoon. It looks like this thing is going to continue to pull its way to the east and essentially stall out for Saturday into Sunday. So weekend severe, it's a possibility. Let me show you the setup for you right now. We've got the two branches of the jet stream one more time. One, the polar going like this. You got the southern branch right here. That's a subtropical starting to phase. That'll happen later this afternoon through tomorrow, and it's going to set up shop from southwest to the northeast, meaning all the storms are going to follow the same exact line for a long extended period of time. So that's the way it looks on that water vapor imagery. We're going to start out there on Saturday. Looks pretty similar to what we just had on Friday, right? So the severe weather threat, it's going to be capped up to the north a bit farther. So the Ohio Valley, not quite as big of a danger zone right there. But you're looking at, again, southern parts of Missouri into Arkansas, now Oklahoma, down to Texas. That is who is going to see the biggest threat of severe thunderstorms, and that will be on Saturday afternoon through the evening. So that whole thing is going to be striped out there. By Sunday, not much of a change. Here's the setup. Got that area of low pressure driving down out of northern Texas into the Red River. Notice the red shaded areas. That's southern parts of Missouri, all the way down again to Fort Worth, to Dallas. Temperature's going to be riding high. Wichita, 53 degrees, so you're in the cooler side of the front. But look at Louisville, 74. You guys don't need any more rain, but it looks like that will be the case, especially coming in late on the day on Saturday, pulling through on Sunday. Saturday evening, here we go. Thunderstorms. Look at your temperatures drop. Dallas, mid-60s, rain cooled. Same with Little Rock. But that heavy stretch of rain will be out there in play, and that's not good. This is the exact region that had the very heavy rainfall just 2 weeks ago. That was in this area. Remember, we saw about 15 to 18 inches worth of rain, parts of Kentucky into Tennessee. Now it looks like it's been shifted over just a little farther to the west. But if we do see the low-level jet stream, which is going to do one of these numbers coming up out of the south, if that low-level jet begins to shift over to the east a little bit farther, that's not going to be good. It's going to bring this whole area, that level 3 out of 4 on the bad scale when it comes to flooding, and move it over towards the Mississippi Valley. Something we don't want to see. Now, they've had nice dry conditions over the last 2 weeks, essentially, but now we're introducing more rain. At this point, it looks like it's focusing a little bit to the west. As for the phasing of the jet stream, we've got that going on in earnest by tomorrow afternoon through Saturday. Look at the negative tilt right here on that trough. That's right coming out of the Plain States into the lower part of Oklahoma. When you see something like that, that shape, that means you have a little extra shot of energy. So that negative tilt is going to strengthen up that low pressure center at the surface. It's going to drag up some humidity right out of the Gulf. So you're going to see dew points climbing into the low 60s. And it's going to be heavy at times, that rain, and it's going to train over the same areas. Severe thunderstorms. Now, this is going to be on your Easter Sunday afternoon. Watch that. It's a big area of red. That is St. Louis, Paducah, Memphis, Jackson. Essentially the same areas that got slammed 2 weeks ago. Have the shot of seeing it one more time coming in for Sunday. Looks like it's stretching over to the east just a little bit farther. So that brings into account the northern Gulf Coast, right around Houston and Alexandria, Texarkana, these regions right here. Main threat, again, looks like it's going to be twisting of those thunderstorms, some supercells. Could see isolated tornadoes as a threat, certainly getting some damaging wind. Large hail makers are possible, too. Sunday afternoon, daytime highs, 85 degrees in Houston, 85 in Shreveport, 81 in Little Rock. You can see that cold front slices over to the east, and it brings in cooler weather, but it also drives that severe stuff all the way over to the east.